So first about me a bit. So yeah, like I said, my name is Peter MARTISCHKA. I'm 20 years old. I work at Yammer, which you may have heard of. I will talk more about it later. I'm a Node.js developer, and here's my email address if anyone wants to write me. Okay, so what I will talk today is first is what is Etherpad? So what is the software I will talk about mainly? What's the history and the vision of Etherpad? What is operational transformation, and how does the technology behind Etherpad Lite work? So first question, what is Etherpad Lite? So Etherpad Lite is basically open source software. It starts a web server and it allows you to work on documents in real time. So that means while one person is writing, the other person sees it. So I have a short video about that where you can see. So I have two browsers open here. I type on the left side and you see it's synchronized in real time on the right side. And every user has their own color. So it's a bit like Google Docs, just a bit different, and it works better. So also every user has a name and a color, and you can change that. So you see that here. Okay, good. So yeah, and you can also change your color. So because people care a lot about colors, you're wondering how important that is that you can change your color. So next feature, we don't only support plain text. You can make your text bold. You can underline it, stuff like that. So we have basically a very simple text editor. You can also make lists. So for example, here, make a simple list. Just 2 points. 3 points. Okay. And the next feature is, as far as I remember, exactly that back. So if you delete something by mistake, you can just reword it, and it is like it was before. We have some options, so you can enable line numbers or not. You can, if you don't like the authorship colors, you can disable it. Also, thing is we have a chat. So if you want to talk to people, you can do that on on your pad. So yeah, so this all happens in real time, like you see. So I was really on the internet. You can try it on your own on beta.primarypad.com. And also a nice feature is the time slider. So you can see in real time what happened over the time, who changed what. It's actually very useless, but people like it because it's fascinating and it shows that we really save everything what happened in the history. So yeah, and the last feature is if you don't like these colors, or if you said I finished, you can erase them. Then you just. Another thing is we can export to various formats. We can export to PDF. We can export to Word, and you can also import from Word to PDF and so on. It's not perfect, but it works 90%. Okay, that's it. So what do you need that for? Why is this so cool? Why people use it? So the most common use case is probably brainstorming. So imagine you want to find new ideas for your product, and usually you will probably write to your employees, please send me emails with ideas. But here you can do it much, much better. You can start a pad, and you can say, please write it directly into this pad. And you just send the link to everyone, and they can write it directly into there. It's more efficient, and for example, with the wiki, usually it's more difficult to do that because wiki blocks you while one person's writing, everyone else is blocked, or you get merge conflicts. And here you don't have that. Everything is real time, so everyone can write in real time directly in there. Another use case is meeting minutes. So you probably know the situation. You are in a meeting and you said this person has to write all minutes. And then this person started talking about his topic and her topic and so on. And this person writes everything down. And what you will probably see that this person that has to write the minutes doesn't know about every topic. So you probably have very short stuff, so you don't have enough information in the minutes. And with Etherpad, you can just send the link to everyone again and say, hey, if you talk about the product, then please, you can write the part of the minutes for the product. Or if you talk about the customer, then you can write this part. And so you get better minutes. That's especially very cool if you talk to everyone via voice over IP. because they're already in front of the computer anyway. Another cool use case is translation. So imagine you want to translate the instructions for your product to France, and usually you would pay a translator to do that, and they're expensive and stuff. You probably have 5 or 10 French guys in your company. So, but they're not skilled translators. But together you can crowdsource them so that they can translate together. So if one person is doing a mistake, the other person can correct them. So I have a better translation for that. And they can communicate via chat, and this works very well. So basically you can crowdsource a lot. And yeah, in general, you can work together on press releases and newsletters. So for example, you want to write about the new product. Product is my favorite example. So you probably want to know, is there anything I forgot to say? Is it how I say correct? And you can just send it to them and they can correct it directly in there. So usually, you probably would get emails like, this is correct and this is not correct, please add that. And so they can just do it their own directly in there. So actual uses. So Moodle, so it's very popular in education. So there's a software called Moodle, which is basically open source web portal for universities. So students use it a lot, and there's now a Moodle plugin, Etherpad plugin for Moodle. So students can do their homework together and can share knowledge. There's also another website called PrimaryPad, which is run by the company called Primary Technology. And this is basically for primary schools. So also, again, do homework together, collect ideas, stuff like that. And also company collaboration. So I work for this company called Yammer, and we basically are a social network for companies. So co-workers are talking there about their work and stuff. So they can do all the stuff directly in Yammer. They can do translations. They can do brainstorming directly in Yammer without having to set up a new web server. And activists like it too. So yeah, I need to say that. So yeah, usually activists have IRC and email and stuff like that. But at some point you need to write stuff down. So you need to say, hey, we meet there, or things like that. So it's pretty popular there. So for example, I'm at the German Pirate Party. We use it there a lot to collect ideas, and yeah, mainly because of crowdsourcing. So everyone can join directly. It's so damn easy to join. Usually you don't have to set up an account. You just go to the pad and start editing. Yeah. So where does this Etherpad come from, and where will it go? Why I talk about that? So there was once a small startup called Ajax. It had about 5-10 employees, not very big. They were from San Francisco. And what they wanted to do is they wanted to build a platform for server-side JavaScript. They did this on a Java stack, which was Scala, Java, and they executed the JavaScript in Rhino. It was very heavy, but it kind of worked. An actual Etherpad was only an example application. They wanted to demonstrate what you can do with the platform. And so they started to do that, and at some point they recognized people don't like our platform, but people really like Etherpad. So so they changed the complete company and they focused on Etherpad. And what they did is they had a service, and you had to pay to use Etherpad. So if it was freemium, you were able to create public pads. But if you want to protect them, then you had to pay. And this was about 2009. And 2009 we had this Google Wave hype. So Google was like, yeah, Google Wave will revolutionize the internet and everything will change and it's so great, and yeah, and so saw this company and so like, yeah, okay, these people already know how to do real-time synchronization. We should probably buy this company. Yeah, Google likes to buy companies, so they bought it, but they bought it mainly for the developers. They weren't so much interested in the products because they already had a working Google Wave. So. But people really said, please give us our product back, because Google was really like, close it, shut it down. And so I was Google, okay, we're not evil, we open source it. So suddenly the software was open source, and this really happened nearly overnight. So the sites were open sourced it, next day it was open source. You have to know that usually this software was never thought, so they never had the idea that the public will once see this. This is why the software was very shitty in many things. But people jumped on it, tried to understand how it works. And so we founded the Etherpad Foundation. We brought the source code to GitHub. It was original in Google code. Many people digged into the code. We improved it. We added new features. And we also tried to document it a bit. But the main problem was really there was not much documentation available, and the features in there that weren't really used anymore, that's just outcommented, or it was really, really big software, completely undocumented, and the developers who wrote the original didn't care anymore. So they all worked at Google, and they were happy. They don't work at Google anymore, by the way. So this was, at the end, a complete loss for Google. So they didn't even manage to improve Google Wave. It was complete. Google didn't profit of that at all. So there were a lot of problems with Etherpads. It was very difficult to install because you had to set up Scala and Java and a lot of things. There was nearly no documentation in code, so if people tried to change it, it was really difficult because we had this huge amount of code which was undocumented, and it was kind of trial and error. And other problem was we had memory leaks. So you had to kill it every day or every week to keep this memory leaks down. And there was very random high CPU usage. So we never figured out what caused this high CPU usage. There was no debug possibility. So there was no debugger. You were able to do a bit print debugging a bit, but it was difficult to do too. And the main problem was this whole stack was written in 3 different programming languages, all on the Java virtual machine, which was Java. JavaScript was executed on Rhino and Scala. So it was very difficult to find people that get the overview of these 3 languages. And especially painful was Scala because they like to change the syntax of the language all the time. So we had to change the actual working code to let it run with the new Scala version, but then people came with the older Scala version that it doesn't work anymore because we really removed features and stuff. It was horrible, but still people, so the actual users really, really liked it. They loved it. It's just the admins and the programmers hated it. So this is why I thought, okay, maybe I can improve that. So what I tried is because, okay, we have already server-side JavaScript, and now this Node.js is coming up, so maybe I can port it to Node.js. And it turned out this worked very well. So we use now much less memory. We went from about 2 GB to 30 megabyte. A complete other dimension. We have much less code. We went from about 100,000 lines to 10,000 lines on the server side. So I'll talk about the server side here. But there was always this, people said, what you do is basically you copy something that already worked. So we need to do it a bit different. We need something that doesn't exist at the moment. So we thought, it should be easy to embeddable. So this Etherpad as original was built for commercial. So there were this free pad and this pro pad you had to pay for. Of course, you were able to outcomment, so you don't have to pay for. But it was really still the structure that you don't need for open source code, for open source product. And on the other side, I thought, if we can build in this real-time functionality in other websites like maybe WordPress, so you can work on your blog post together or whatever people are coming up to, that would be much more powerful. And if you do it again, then we should optimize it from the first time to that. So what did we take? So I showed that because some people think it's a rewrite, but basically it isn't a rewrite. So on top you can see this basically the software stack of the old Etherpad. So we had Scala, we had Java, we had a lot of server-side JavaScript, and we had some shared JavaScript, which means they managed to run the same JavaScript on the server and on the client side, which are basically algorithms, so nothing that works with the DOM or anything. And they had browser JavaScript. And so I basically managed to replace all the Scala Java with stuff that already is provided by Node.js libraries. So for example, they built their own kind of socket in Java, so that they're even existing. I don't know why they built their own in Java. So we saved a lot with that. Many things, and we didn't rebuild everything that they had in Java and Scala because we thought we don't need it. So this went to Node.js, and nearly all of the shared JavaScript which run on server and client side still exists. So it's still nearly 95% like it was in the original code in there, and we nearly took all the browser JavaScript. We stripped a bit out that we think we don't need, but it's mainly still the old code. Sometimes it's good because we know this code is well tested and works. Sometimes we found stuff that isn't used at all. We just didn't know what it does. Yeah. Yeah. The funny thing is, by the way, if you work with jQuery with DOM element, it doesn't exist. It doesn't show any error. So you remove stuff out of the HTML. There's still JavaScript that tries to work with it, but doesn't error. So we didn't notice that there's something wrong. And then we commented out at some point, and that's that everything works. So it looks like this isn't used anymore. Yeah, what is our vision? So we want to see Etherpad Lite everywhere. We think that there's a huge potential that this could improve the web in many ways. So Yammer is already doing that. The other screenshot you see is this Moodle plugin. Yeah, we would like to that you build this in your website, that you use it, that you improve it. Yeah, it's Apache license. It's basically do whatever you want, but it would be nice if you bring back your improvements. But many people use it, so the more people use it, the better. Okay, so I thought you're interested in a bit how does this real-time synchronization work? So how does it happen that if I type here, this appears at the other side too? So the main component are change sets. So change sets are a bit like this. So they basically describe what you have changed on the text. So they're like, after the 5th character, you added this text or you deleted this text. That's basically what they are. We send this change set to the browser via Socket.io and back to. So we do all this real-time communication via Socket.io. Socket.io is a wonderful library. You should use it. You can do so much with it. So what basically happens? So one user changed the text, and the browser checks every half second did the user check the text. It doesn't fire this change set on every key press. So many people try to clone Etherpad, and they try to send a change set with every key press, which doesn't work because it's too much information. And what if you copy paste code stuff? So basically, we just check every half second, then we see, okay, have anything changed or not, and then we try to send a change set to the server. And the server, basically, all it does is it sends this change set to all other clients that are on the pad at the moment, and it also saves this to the database. It's a bit more complex in detail, but that's basically what it is. It's also why Node.js is so great for that, because main thing we have to do is to move data around, and Node.js is great for that. Node.js, it's mainly network, and Node.js is very good at doing network stuff because you can do all async. So I have, yeah.
So you don't have to interleave change set like timestamp because you're running event linked in Node.js. Basically, change set comes in, change set comes in, and you just keep leaving them out of the system and then floating them out.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to explain this change set board more. So imagine we have the text "Hello World," and we want to add a L there. So it's "Hello World." Yeah, it's a stupid example, but so basically this change set has operators, and the operators looks from the beginning, and so we don't touch the first 5 characters. So we have an equal operator, which basically says don't touch this, and then it says, okay, here insert something that's a plus operator, and it says, yeah, unfortunately in this font 1 and L is the same. So it basically says add 1 character, which is the L, and then keep the rest. Don't change the rest. that's basically how a change set look like. With the change set, always the info, you can always the info on which text this change set is based. So a bit more complex example. So here we want to add something and we want to delete something. So we have again equal operator. We say it doesn't touch this text. Then we add this. Then we don't touch the empty space. Then we delete 2 characters, and then we keep the rest again. So just so that you know how this works. So now it's getting a bit more complex. So Etherpad can live with different realities. So we never want to block the user from typing. So we can't say this person is typing. Please don't let this person type. That would be bad user experience. So what you end up is that everyone has a bit of different text. And so it can happen that 2 people edit hello world, and one person is adding a O, and one person is deleting the W. And what you would like to end up is this, hello all. So how should we do that? So what we do is basically transformation. So we first get this change set, which basically says add the O to hello world, and this works fine. So we now get from version 1 to 2. So this is easy, but now we come into this. So basically we say remove the W. You've seen how the change set working. So because we also sent the information on what was our source of the change set, then we see, okay, whoa, this doesn't work anymore. We have to do something. We have to transform the change set that the other person sent us. So we transform it basically. So we basically know, because since we know we're based on the older change set, we transform the change set we got in so it fits again. This doesn't always work, but it works most of the time because we know what happened in between. It's a bit like JIT and everything works. And now we can do it again. So we basically end up with that. And it works. It's to explain it every detail, it's complex, just to give you an idea how we do and why this isn't as easy as many people think. As many people think as if I just synchronize the keyboard, that's all. It's much more complex in detail. So at the end, just a bit of the technology of Etherpad Lite. How did we solve our problems? And I think the most interesting thing is how we solved the database problem. So this was basically our requirements. We thought our database should have that. So we wanted a fast and scalable database. So nowadays, if you would ask someone what is a fast and scalable database, you probably would come up with Redis, CouchDB, MongoDB. This is what everyone likes at the moment. But on the other hand, we wanted a database that is easy to set up. So, and the database that we found that is that easy to set up is some basically file databases, so like SQLite or Node.js. There's also DirtyDB. So DirtyDB is basically a plain text file, and all it does is it appends at the end. It's about 100. It's implemented about 100 lines of JavaScript. It works on every platform, and all you have to configure is write to this file. It's that simple, but if you have small amounts of data, it works very well. And we also wanted a database that is yeah.
How's that a database? That sounds like a file output.
It sounds like what, sir?
Like a file output stream. It's 100 lines of JavaScript.
Yeah, it's that simple. It's like that's why it's called DirtyDB, because it's dirty. It's like the name says. It's like don't use it for serious data. It's just like sometimes you want to just save some values. For example, if you want to do a small chat, or so it's basically it gets dirty. It's like just save a bit. If you do small apps that only have to save some strings, that's absolutely enough, even in production. And we also wanted a database that is well known. So we don't want to come up with Ryak or something like that, so something people are scared of. We don't want that anybody don't uses Etherpad Lite because he fears the database that we use. So probably the best known database is still MySQL. So I'd like to say there's no database that fits to that. It's like, that's totally, forget it. You can't have all of that, right? So we came up with this crazy idea to just abstract the databases so you can use whatever you want. And so basically we thought, okay, what's the small thing all databases have together? And what you can save in all databases is key value. So with Mongo and Redis, this is easy. You probably know it directly how it works. How we do it in MySQL and Postgres, yeah, we basically have one table with two columns, key and value. Yeah, so the value is basically a text blob with saved JSON. But it's like people can use the database, so it's really like bring your own database. So you can implement nearly every database in about 50 lines of JavaScript. So all you need, the only problem is there must be a Node.js driver. So we don't support MS SQL because there's no Node.js driver for that. But so admins really, really love that. But the problem we have is that as developers, we have no chance to query anything. So people, for example, want to give us a list of all paths, and we're like, we can't do this nicely with that. So it's a bit good, it's negative, it's like, it's just so crazy that I wanted to mention it. So other problem we have, well, load testing requirement. So the problem is we have to build up this Socket.io connection. So what you could do is you can build up Socket.io connection with Node.js 2, with the Node.js daemon, but then you have to simulate all what the browser is doing. And it must be very close to real-life load. And this is why, yeah, we use Phantom.js 2. We don't use it for testing. We use it for load testing. Because Phantom.js, we just tell it, go to this pad, and we can simulate 100 user on a pad. And so we were able to see that Etherpad Lite is not even smaller in code and resources. It also can handle more load. Yeah, and it's, like I said, it's perfect for that. So we can just tell 100 user on the pad. We're not able to say, please type there. So we're not able to simulate real typing users. But at least we can open one type and we still have to broadcast. But yeah, we're really happy when we found that. So the last thing, so settings requirements. So we wanted to be able to define complex settings. So like, yeah, to have a good example, but we wanted to keep us it open. We don't want it to have it too simple. We want to do some bit more complex. We also wanted to have comments in the settings. So people should be able to go directly to the settings file and read in the settings file how it works. But we don't want to re-implement the wheel. We want to do something that people already know. So what we ended up with was JSON with comments. So the problem with JSON, so JSON allows you to define complex things. So because you have objects and you can define very directly what you want. But the problem was JSON doesn't allow comments. So what we do is just we filter out the comments with a regular expression, and then we put it in a JSON parser, and so we get our settings. It's not the perfect solution afterwards because sometimes people forget commas and then it's not valid JSON anymore, and it's difficult for us to tell them you failed at line 3. We just say, no, this doesn't work. This doesn't make sense. What you give us. So yeah, basically that's it. Please help us install Etherpad Lite, give feedback, send pull requests. It's on GitHub. It's this URL, so it's a short URL. You can go directly to that. Yeah, go to the IRC channel, discuss with us. Send me an email if you need more information. That's it. Thank you.